Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and today I got a video for you showing off some of the big changes in the new patch that's currently live on console and PC from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So I did make a video previously about my speculations on the patch, and now no more need for speculation as the patch is live. Let's just go over and show you what some of these changes actually mean visually. So first off, let's just go with the big old Reality Stone changes. So just visually, you hit the button, you can already tell it comes out slower. It takes about twice as long just to come out, and it was originally 8 frames to 20, so it's a little over twice as long. And it does travel a bit faster. Now, one thing I was worried about, and I saw a lot of people doomsaying about, was the nerf to how long it takes to start homing and all that, and it takes almost no time to start homing at all. Like, that nerf is near imperceptible, honestly. It's a little more jerky on the angles, but other than that, it still homes just fine. It's not that big of a deal. Overall, Reality Stone is not as strong as it used to be, straight up. And especially now, because, you know, you can Reality Stone, and on the Reality Stone, if you get hit, the Reality Stone is going to go away. So sure, absolutely, it is nerfed, but it is not the be-all, end-all. It still has value. It still is worthwhile to use. Now, next up for the crumple state on airborne characters. Now, I originally took this as the crumple state was simply going away, which is not the case. The crumple state is still there. But you can now, as the patch note clearly states, roll when it happens. So I originally thought, you know, potentially you just get put in the same knockdown state as anyone else would in most normal moves. But that is not the case. Simply now you land in that crumple state and you can still roll. Now, on top of the roll, and let's set this up here. There we go. On top of the roll, you still are given a modicum of air control as well. So now you have air control on top of the roll. So effectively, honestly, any setup you had with that crumple state is basically dead. There's way too many options now for people to get out of, which take it either way you want. I personally use those setups, but I've also had them used against me, and they're very frustrating on the you know, when they're used against you, so either way, whatever, I guess. But those setups basically are now all dead, unfortunately. The Space Storm Rage Cage got a 20% duration nerf, and you know what? It's not that bad. So we obviously have full Space Storm right now, but as you see here, if you look at that bar degrade, you're still in there for a goodly while. It's not that big of a deal. This is still incredibly effective what it needs to do, and yeah, you're in it for slightly less time, but it's not a big deal at all. Now, there's a couple things I actually can't show you because it's no longer in the game, like the hit stun decay glitch. So the hit stun decay glitch and all those super long combos and, you know, either pseudo infinites or full on infinites, they're all gone now. So, you know, thank God for that, honestly. But one thing I can show you is our boy Chris and his rise to relevance. So Chris, you know, the Magnum is meant to be a defining move, and if you played any amount of Chris, you know the Magnum's not really, because, you know, even the old Reality Stone would put it in its place. But now, Magnum don't care. In fact, Magnum don't care so much, it'll burn through all sorts of even, you know, full screen beams. So yeah, we traded there, but we still beat the move, and we did that new buffed damage for the Magnum. So that is huge for Chris, and for some other people, it's less huge. Because while Chris got buffed to that relevance, where now Magnum can go through a lot of things, certain characters like the Monster Hunter, her bow and arrow no longer can pierce through everything like it used to. They can still hit, but, well, here, I'll just show you, just so you can see. Now, for Monster Hunter, it will still go through projectiles, so we got Reality Stone here, so we're just going to arrow through it. So it hit, but Iron Man didn't flinch. And see here, he can just walk right through it. So he's gonna take the damage. So that part hasn't changed. But it'll no longer stop him from doing whatever he's gonna do. So in the situation of, you know, a super. Well, let's try that one more time. Sorry about that. So in this situation, it'll still hit him, but it ain't gonna interrupt the super anymore. So that is reserved for moves now like Chris or Arthur with a lot of his projectiles while he's in golden form. So Old Chris, his projectiles are climbing the ranks, but unfortunately for Monster Hunter, she's slightly gone down the ranks. Now, there is some general other, system level stuff, like the Dante Zero Team Kill glitch, that'll no longer work. But I'm just going to get into some of the character-specific stuff now. So first up, let's talk Ultron. Most importantly here is that his Jump Fierce Punch hitbox has been nerfed, and I'm going to tell you right now, has not been nerfed that much. It is still easily the best box jump cross-up in the game. But there's now some edge cases here, like that would have hit before, so it won't hit now. But as far as it just comes like, berserking in and like trying to get a cross-up, it's still the best there is. It's just not quite as dumb and brain dead as it used to be before. Now that said, the other big thing, and the only other thing really, is his command grab is now no longer invincible, and honestly, he never really needed it. It was just kind of like another, the icing on the top of the cake, and no longer has that, unfortunately. But yeah, before you cry doom and gloom, this move is still ridiculous. It is still the best at what it wants to do, just not quite as absurd as it used to be. Now, Gamora was also affected by the universal change for projectile piercing, so like Monster Hunter, she cannot quite use her gunshots to just be super belligerent and just go through everything anymore. So, and honestly, she never even really needed that. That was kind of an unintended side effect, and she's still plenty good without it. The only other real thing to note that's major is now that her super, while it does retain invincibility, the invincibility now ends before the move becomes active and can hit. So what that means is, it'll no longer, like in this exact situation right here. Normally, I could hit Iron Man before the move's over. Now in this case, since I lose my invincibility 1 frame before the attack hits, I can no longer beat Iron Man. Considering she's definitely one of the most mobile characters, one of the fastest characters in the game, personally, I'm okay with it. I know some people are not really that happy with it, but I feel that such incredibly strong defensive moves should be, really more the realm of the slower characters who need that to defend themselves versus offensive berserkers like Gamora. Okay, Dante, honestly, I can make a whole video on Dante. So I'm going to preface this before I even say a word. Dante is still one of the best characters in the game. He is still top 5. He's just no longer top 1. If for some reason you think Dante is ruined and a bad character now, honestly, you're just straight up wrong. So let's just look at some of the stuff right here. So he has low health. Honestly, he should have been a low health character from the start. That's fine. Some of the glitches have been fixed about him auto-correcting sides. Stuff like this. So Stand Light Punch has an increased hurt box. Sure. The hitbox is still absolutely absurd, and it's one of the best hitboxes on the light in the game. Stand Fierce Punch has 1 frame slower startup and 1 less active frame. Sure. It still has an absurd hitbox, and it's one of the best standing Fierce Punches in the game. His launcher has an increased hurt box, 1 less active frame, but it still has an absurd hitbox, and it's one of the best launchers in the game. Perhaps you're catching onto a theme here, right? Stuff like reverse edge, just command normal jump here. It has increased hurt box. It still has an absurd hitbox, and it's one of the best box jumps moves in the game. Like I know this is a broken record, but let's just keep persisting here. Jump Fierce Kick. So now this causes a bit of scaling, like if you were to start a combo with a jab instead of a Fierce. But it's not that much. It has 1 frame slower. It has less horizontal reach, so it can't hit from as far away. And so the hitbox does not happen all at once now. It increases gradually like a shotgun cone would. But it's still an instant overhead. It still leads to all the same stuff it led to before, for the most part. For there, that would have hit, but so that's a bit of the nerf for the horizontal hitbox. But for the most part, you're going to use it in the exact same situations you did before. The move is effectively not any lesser than it was before. Now, for stuff like his air and ground throw, it's going to be easier for the foe to recover. Particularly for the ground throw, they recover 10 frames faster. And so there's harder to get conversions off it, sure. But generally speaking, for the rest of his special moves, it's a recurrent theme of does less damage, gains less meter, sometimes bigger hurt box. And honestly, outside of straight hits, this doesn't matter at all. Because if you're using the middle of a combo, you'll have to change your combo. Your combo will have to be longer. But in the end, you'll still get to roughly where you were before. So it's not an issue really at all outside of the odd stray hit. And the one thing I guess is kind of an issue is $1 million now. It takes a little bit longer for that first bolt to come out. So you can't just say get in someone's face and if they're blocking just go like da da da, go right into super. Because now if they did block, they would be able to jab you out cleanly or at the very least trade. Now, all this said, Dante is no longer the single best character in the game, but like I say, in my opinion anyways, he's still top 5, he's still one of the best characters in the game, and a lot of characters wish they had even half of what Dante has. I find that a lot of the Dante bandwagon will drop him, but, you know, that's because, you know, this perceived nerf, but he's still incredibly, I can't stress enough, he is still masterclass character strong. Just no longer the single best character in the game. Now, for Strider, there's not much to show, because I can't show you anymore, because the Graham Loop's effectively dead. And Leaping Kick, that's a Fierce Kick off the wall cling, now has higher hit stun value while you're doing it in the middle of a combo. As for Firebrand, poor Firebrand, I don't know anyone who's really calling for Firebrand nerfs, but his only real change is a nerf. And now that's that the Tornadoes, as good as they are, and they are pretty decent, they will now go away if he is hit. As you can see there. So I don't know who was really calling for Firebrand nerfs, but he got him, unfortunately. Now this patch is Chris's patch, that's for dang sure. So on top of the Magnum change we already went through earlier about how Magnum beats everything now versus, you know, losing everything previously. So first up, Shotgun does more damage, SMG does more damage, Magnum does more damage, Landmine does more damage, Grenade Toss does more damage, the Shotgun and the Punch combination does more damage, and Grenade Launcher does more damage. So a lot of his key faults and, you know, having some difficulty dealing with airborne stuff, that's still going to happen, that's still there. But overall his zoning is just simply more effective. With Magnum is now just straight up terrifying, because if you're both on the ground, Chris owns you until you're in. You have to get airborne versus Chris now, because the Magnum beats everything, and every Magnum shot is a free combo for him because it causes that wall bounce. And he can just get whatever he wants afterwards. Now, Frank, I'm not quite sure the logic behind this, but he did get 2 tiny nerfs in that the meter gain on the Fierce Kick Giant Swing and the meter gain on Tools of Survival, which is his stab move once it's level 3 or higher, both have decreased meter gain. But other than that, it's just some bug fixes. So for Zero, first up is Command Normal, Forward, and Light Punch. This guy right here has less hit stun, so if you're using that in the combo near the end of your combo, it probably won't work anymore, unfortunately. The Hanageki, that's the Fierce Punch Fireball, does have less meter gain, unfortunately. And now the 2 big ones here are Ragin, that's the DP. Now this move was never fully invincible. It was only invincible till the first active frame of the move, but now it has even less invincibility, only has 2 frames of invincibility. Still has use, beating like meaties when you're knocked down and such, but you definitely got to watch, and there's no more like free trades with certain jumps. And now Rejinsho, which is the Super DP, still has startup invincibility, but it is no longer invincible for past that first active frame. So after the screen flash, you only have 1 frame of invincibility, and that's it. So once again, kind of with Gamora, they don't want the hyper aggressive characters to have the really strong invincible moves that are normally reserved for, say, like a Hager. Now Dormammu. Now, one of the first changes here is simply his launcher. Used to have 20 active frames, which is absurd, honestly. Now has only 10 active frames, which is much more reasonable. So this move does not just own the part of the screen quite like it used to. There is a small meter nerf, which will be 2 destructions, 1 creation. That guy right here, the little Inferno with the exploding volcano, that gains less meter than it used to, but the big change here, everyone's waiting for it, is on Thorns. So first off, the duration is shortened, and you will gain less meter, but most importantly of which, if Dormammu gets hit, Thorns are over. Now, I guess this could be a bit crass, but good. If you played against Dormammu, no one had fun against that at all. Only Dormammu players got any amount of joy out of that. With the absurd amount of lockdown it had, there was ways, if you go back in my video library, I found ways, you know, to get like the odd hit in, but, you know, then you just get hit and gut out the Thorns anyway. So now if you manage to get that hit in, once he has the Thorns locked down, the Thorns will end and that pressure will stop. If you are a Dormammu player, I'm sorry. I'm sure that sucks, but for everyone else, that's fantastic. Now, for Monster Hunter, outside of a bug fix for dodge, the only real thing here is Fierce Punch Draw Slash, which is the big slash if you're not aware of the name, can no longer OTG. And honestly, that's not too big of a deal. Her main combo concepts, didn't really use it for a lot of it, at least the ones I personally use. If you did, maybe that's very unfortunate. But overall, that's not too big of a deal. So that concludes our video for now. There's some more stuff in the patch notes I didn't quite go over, like a bunch of bug fixes and some other stuff, but I feel that's all the big notes. Now, I do hope for whenever it's time for the next patch, some people like this guy, get the love they deserve, because, man, I love Ryu, but there's no other way to really say it. He's kind of unfortunately suited to be in this game. A lot of what this game's about, he can't really excel in it, unfortunately. I hope for people, buffs for him, buffs for Hulk, and just, a lot of the other people have some unfortunate stuff going for them. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Marvel.